What up? Thanks for tuning in to You Do Know How to Whistle, don't you? All about the ish I don't get. 15 minutes of research and we chat. Funny people, funny environment. Let's dive in.
Everything I want to be with you. She want to be my only one, but she says no. No.
Thanks, Doug.
She is the one you wanted to be. Wanted to be. Wanted to be.
That was beautiful.
Thanks. Is this recording?
It is recording.
Oh, I want to die.
I was really moved by that.
Thanks.
Thank you for gracing me with your musical skills.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
And thank you for coming in today.
Oh, man, really? Is this your podcast voice? Oh, Jesus Christ.
You don't like it?
I think it's great.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're just a different person right now.
Am I?
I don't know. I feel that way.
Really?
Yeah, before you were like totally normal, and then like you started hitting record, and then it changed. If this is a thing, this is a thing. I'm not trying to kill your vibe right now. Just let you know. I
can't move much, so I have to be careful with how much I laugh because I'm plugged in.
Right, you got to lean forward.
I got to lean.
You got to give
forward.
some slack.
I got to give it some slack.
Yeah.
Did you like my face?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of structure to this podcast.
Okay.
Are you cool with structure?
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, cool. So this episode is on Valley Girl Talk. You know that, right?
I do, yes.
Okay, great.
That's what I was assigned to research.
You were assigned. That was your research?
Yes.
I believe some people. And that kind of...
I believe some people too.
Well, some people kind of, it's like an upspeak thing. Some people say research.
I believe in Valley speak
Talk,
it's called high-rise terminal statements.
Where'd you find that information, Doug?
So that's on wikipedia.org.
Where did you find all of your information, Doug?
Oh,
by the way, guys, this is Doug Kellner. He's a very funny guy.
Hi. Yeah, so I found most of my information on wikipedia.org. I typed in Valley Girl, and it led me to Valley Girl and Valley Speak, or Val Speak. And a few different things, like the See Alsos.
You went to the See Alsos.
Of course, yeah. I give a shit. And then I typed in examples, and I found this webpage. I don't know what it's called. But it just gave examples. It was the second Google search down. So if you want to cite me on it, you type in Valley Speak examples. I think I put slang. It's the second Google search down. If you're in the New York area, that's what it is.
Be sure to look up this information. Make sure it's right.
Right. This is similar to college, where you have to fact check.
Fact check.
You got to fact check, and if they hate it, you got to defend it, and you got to have examples.
Right. So did you just look at Wiki? Is that all?
No, I did the other website too, but I went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole from just that one search, because it opens up into an umbrella of different, as they call, sociolects, like dialect.
Sociolects.
Yeah, so it's like dialects, but sociolects.
I also really like that you typed up your notes.
I'm a professional human.
That makes me really happy. My last guest, Tiago, had it scribbled all over a piece of paper. It was wonderful. I just think it's interesting how people get information, and you have bullet points and a typed up couple of pieces of paper, actually.
It is
I'm
a couple.
excited to hear about all of those pages. Anyway, okay, so you went down a wiki hole. So you just kind of spiraled into the pits of wiki.
I did, yeah.
That's cool. I got a Val Speak, Valley Speak. I think we got a lot of the same info. Either way, it comes from Southern California, Southern California.
Yeah, San Fernando.
Mm-hmm. And it's
San Fernando Valley.
Valley specifically.
Yes,
right.
that's where the valley.
See.
Yeah.
That's where the valley comes from.
Yes.
Yeah. And it started in the 70s, right?
It did.
It started in the 70s.
Started in the 70s. It was. I think this is the structure point where I go into talking about it. But.
Sorry, I have to unbutton my pants.
Oh man, yeah, mine are already unbuttoned. Hell yeah, Yonkers.
Yonkers.
We're in Yonkers right now. Yonkers, New York, 6th borough.
All right. That's where we are.
We're just so far away from.
Just spitting some logic from Yonkers.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Yonkers.
So 1970s, it came from upper class.
Well, so they say.
Oh,
right? Because there was research. I'm practicing my upspeak. Research instead of research,
You're
right?
like high-end intonation.
Yeah, I'm working with it. They said that, but I found some info, actually, that they did a test with... I'm looking through my notes. Can't find it. Anyway, they did a test, and it turns out it doesn't matter the socioeconomic or the ethnic backgrounds. There was uptalk in, like, different kinds of people, not just...
Well, uptalk is everywhere. I mean, they say even New Zealand has uptalk.
I got that too.
Right? There's different ways that people say sentences. You know, just like I just said, sentences, just like that. Like if you're going to say something that you believe in, it's a declarative statement, and you're going to have some sort of, as I'm going to do right now, drop down. And that's like a point, and maybe that's a Northeast thing. But other people talk like this, and maybe they're going to say something like that, and don't you agree with me? And it feels fine, and why wouldn't you agree with me? And that's the intonation kind of thing that I grasped from all this stuff.
Yeah, because it's in Australia and England and other places that have that upward inflection in their speak.
That's right.
But in the 1980s and 90s, it got like soups popular.
Right. And that's where the upper class argument comes from, is that all of the Hollywood executives were hearing their kids talk like this.
Right.
So a lot of teen culture was passed through the children of executives that would hear their kids talk like this, go to the mall, wear their Lacoste, that kind of like $60 more T-shirts. And that was like what they defined what teens would speak like.
Right.
So it did deal with some sort of socioeconomic levels.
Yeah, well, I guess we do kind of learn from the media and through advertisements and stuff like that. And so when you're seeing a film, like, you know, all the big like Frank Zappa was the first one, right? To make it a big deal.
Well, he used the term
the Valley Girl
in
song.
Valley Girl with his daughter.
82.
Yeah, 1982.
1982.
Do you know anything about Frank Zappa?
No, but I know you do.
I do. I got really mixed feelings about the man.
You could talk about that a little bit if you want.
So in high school, I had an English teacher, Mrs. Friedman, who was really cool, and she was like...
Could you add a little uptalk to the way you speak?
Yeah.
Just to kind of like stay with the theme. Thanks.
So like she would say something like, "Why don't you listen to Weasels Rip My Flesh by Frank Zappa?" That sounds like a really good album for you to listen to right now as a 16-year-old boy. It's a crazy psychedelic thing.
All right, you need to stop, please.
All right.
My ears aren't used to that. I'm not from Southern California, so...
You got some... please have confidence in your directorial choices.
I wanted to try it out, and I don't like it, so just go back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was the first person to be like, check Frank Zappa out. And it had this track on the album Weasels Ripped My Flesh called called My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama. And it's a fun song.
It's a fun song.
Yeah. And they're all, the bottom line with all of Frank Zappa is that he has very talented musicians behind him. He hired a bunch of kids from Berkeley. And then you get into, your next step is into Apostrophe, which has, silly songs like Don't Eat the Yellow Snow, and something about pancakes and whatever it is. And then it gets kind of weird where he starts doing these pop songs, where, like, really politically incorrect stuff, where even me, who's okay with normal, jokes that are offensive to most, I don't really know where the joke is. There's this one song called He's So Gay, where it's just kind of making fun of the flamboyance of everything. There's also You Are What You Is, which is a great pop album. And then he went into like jazz classical stuff.
What?
Yeah, so it's like he's got like 40 albums. It's really difficult to say that I like Frank Zappa because there's so much shit. Some of the stuff that I do like some of the stuff I find totally unlistenable, but, very talented musician.
Well, yeah, that's a strong artist, right? At least you're not indifferent about his work. You feel one way or the other about it,
There's no certainty in anything.
Yeah. Cool. So he had a song called Valley Girl with his daughter.
Moon Unit.
Her name's Moon Unit?
Middle name Unit. First name Moon. She used to date Mark Maron.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I just got I don't even know what she looks like, but I see Mark Maron in my mind's eye, and I'm just putting like a young girl next to him, and
yeah, like a very young girl next to Mark Maron.
Oh man.
Who's your guys? Who are you guys? Who are you guys?
So Frank Zappa did it, and then there were like tons of films like Heathers, Clueless. The Jennifer DiNucci played a character called Tracy Nelson.
Okay.
It was in a sitcom called Square Pegs. You ever check that?
I've heard the name. Is there anyone famous that comes from Square Pegs?
I've never even heard of the name. Is there?
Yeah, it's from Sex and the City. What's the main character? Who's the one the
Jessica, she's got 3 names.
Yeah, that comedian Nick Mullen said that she looks like George Washington right now. What's her name?
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
I knew there was a Jessica.
She was in that show, Square Pegs.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was a really big fad in the 80s and the 90s, and then people were questioning it and saying, you kind of sound stupid when you talk like that.
Right.
Like I went to multiple sites. I was on Wikipedia. I went to Urban Dictionary was my favorite. I saw an article in Huffington Post, the New York Times, and Urban Dictionary's definition, I was cracking up when I was reading it. Mm-hmm. Teenage female who seems to have no idea where she is, usually found off the coast of California, seemingly beautiful in nature, but truly idiotic. Likes to use the phrases like OMG and inserts the word like whenever she possibly can. Example, like, OMG, can you believe that he, like, did that? OMG, it's, like, so, like, stupid. Like, really, like, stupid. Like, yeah. And by the way, the person that cited this her name is Ms. with 2 Z's, Honey, ending in an I.
Yeah.
Just want to put everything in perspective there.
Right.
The whole picture. I
got 3 things out of that.
Please.
A lot of that is true from, like, by definition, of Valley Girl, with the likes. Number 1, they use like as a filler, which is one of the 3 fundamentals of Valley Girl speak. Like is used. So I was like walking towards blah blah blah, and that's just a filler word. But then you can also use like in the way of to indicate that what follows is not necessarily an exact quotation of what was said, but captures the meaning and intention of the quoted speech. So I was like walking down the street and Tammy said something like, I'm gonna love you forever, you're my best friend. Tammy might have not said exactly those words, but by using the word like, that is the second usage of it. Sorry to interrupt. What were you about to say?
You're not interrupting. No. You felt my breath, huh?
I did.
Yeah.
The second thing, we can skip the third thing, but the second thing is that they're using Valley Girl with modern day usage to show that it's an ever-growing socio-dialect. Because no one in the 70s and 80s used the term OMG, but everyone associates OMG now with Valley Girl speak.
Wow, so it's evolving, like we are.
Exactly.
It's an evolving language.
Right. The third thing is that this is a nightmare that I had last night. I'm not kidding.
I want to hear this.
I had a nightmare. The ancillary details don't matter to it. I got to figure that shit out. But I was given a term.
Was it a sex dream, Doug?
No, it was not. Not
okay,
at all.
Great.
No. But yeah, I was supposed to go on stage and talk about the word misogyny and joke about that. And I went into, this is all in my dream, I went into a routine that was like extremely absurd, and it was on purpose to not be misogynistic. If anything, directed towards one person. I kept on talking about Vicky, or whatever her name was, like as a goof. I ended up getting booed off stage and being put on the news and having to defend myself. The whole Valley Girl speak is just is very misogynistic in my observations.
Okay.
Because there's no like the only other masculine force that has this kind of speak is like surfer dude.
Well, yeah, but men speak in Valley Girl tongues too. There was a statistic, you know.
But it's called Valley Girl.
60% of women.
It's called Valley Girl.
It's called Valley Speak, though, was one of the terms used for it. 28% of men in the statistic, you can find the information somewhere. 28% of men also do this Valley Speak. So I think... Oh fuck! You're right. It is a misogynistic language because they've coined it to just women speaking this way when guys.
Well,
also
specifically
do it too.
Women that are dumb.
Right.
It's called like if you went up to someone and say, "Hey, what's Valley Speak?" They wouldn't know. But if you said, "Hey, what's Valley Girl?" They'd be like, "Oh, it's some dumb girl talking."
But also, I think it could be. You know how. We live in a very misogynistic society, so women can be aware.
I have no idea. I'm a white man. I love life.
All right, as a white woman, we live in a very misogynistic society, so I wonder if women, just as we know that we are constantly viewed as sex objects, if it is actually, when women speak with this Valley Girl talk, it's a strategic technique in... because it's considered like placeholding. So maybe they're using this language to not get cut off. So when they say the word, you know, like, it's actually like they're putting their hand up and saying, wait, hold on a second. So maybe they're, you know, taking hold of being pigeonholed as being these stupid girls and using that as an opportunity, so kind of flipping the coin and being like, sure, I'll fall into this stereotype that you want to put me in, but look, when I use these words, I'm actually getting my point across.
Right. Let's keep in mind that we're talking about people that, you know, this idea that I don't know anyone that speaks Valley Girl. Really?
You don't know anyone?
I can't think of anyone that I mean, the one... I have a friend that's from Oakland, and she does say like, but she's, you know, University of Chicago, anthropology major, very intelligent, and, you know, just like we use the word like, there's... I don't know anyone that speaks in this kind of movie script way.
I do.
Oh, yeah?
I do. And I find like it is this evolving kind of contagious language, really, because I don't talk like that at all. You know, I'm from New York. I don't have that tone.
Right. No one's made fun of how New Yorkers talk ever. It's not like a, hey, gabagoo.
Hey, gabagoo.
Hey, boom
Fuck
bots.
out of here.
Hey, fanook.
Fanook. All right, sure. So I get made fun of for that. But my point is when I'm with this specific girl that speaks in Valley speak, or Valley girl talk, whatever the frig you want to call it.
Name names.
I'm not going to name names.
What's her name?
Her name is Michelle.
What's her name?
Her name is Michelle.
Okay.
And she, whenever she starts to talk like that, I kind of fall into talking that way too. It's very easy to fall into that sort of, yeah, I know. It was like, I was talking to my brother the other day, and he was saying the same thing, and I was like, what the fuck? And he was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, OMG, hello.
So
you know?
That's, when I took linguistics, there was a,
You took linguistics?
yeah, you have to for the major that, yeah. Just like you had to do movement. I believe that was a class you had to take.
You can't believe that movement was a class?
Sure.
Do you know how to move?
I moved before here and there.
I have moved.
I haven't been great at it. But yeah, linguistics, there's a thing called mode shifting, which is technically a defense mechanism. Mm-hmm. So you're not considered an other. So if you hear someone speaking differently than you will adjust your speech pattern to them as a way to find some sort of connection and not have some sort of avoidance or enemy tendencies. So it's, if anything, that's
It's a survival technique.
exactly. So that's a strength towards you that you can speak like that and dip back to your normal. Hey, boom bots.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
Boom bots. It was like a compliment and an insult tied into one.
Kind of.
Thank you so much.
Insulting to the true you.
The true me.
Yeah.
Well, speaking on that linguistics-ish, the woman that I kept seeing in like 3 different articles was this chick, Amanda Richart. She's a doctorate candidate at University of California of San Diego. And she is like all about talking about Valley Girl Speak. Like she was all over all of these websites defending it, you know, till the day is long. About how it's not just girls and how the common misconception of what we think of Valley Girl Speak is actually, sorry, let me reopen my notes, is actually, ground zero for uptalk. That's what she calls it.
Ground
zero. So she thinks that this common misconception, or that's what I'm gathering from that quote, this common misconception of what we think of Valley Girl talk being this constant like and OMG is the ground zero of uptalk.
Bold statement from someone coming from California.
Yeah.
To say ground zero.
Yeah, that was quoted in like the HuffPost article that I saw. It might have been in the New York Times article that I read too.
Imagine this fucking person really giving a shit about this. Like, this is her life.
This
She's
is
like
the ground zero
this is
of
the
uptalk.
Listen, when I am on my deathbed, right before my death rattle that comes from my lungs, my final breath, I'm going to give a shit about this very specific upper class dialect in America. I give a fuck. This is my life.
Great.
Yeah.
So how, like, if there was like a 5-year-old that was like, what's Valley Girl talk or Valley speak? How would you describe it to them?
I would say it's what actors on screen portray as young women from like California.
That's how you would explain to a 5-year-old?
Yeah, I would say if you like a 5-year-old from the Northeast. I mean, because maybe because like a 5-year-old from California maybe speaks like this.
Any 5-year-olds, like a 5-year-old that magically understands English, but could be from Zimbabwe.
Okay, it's a dialect for the upper class that go to shopping malls. It's a way that people go blah, 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 and they sound different from me going blah, 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 because they go blah, 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 and I go blah, blah, blah.
Perfect. So you would you'd explain it in like a tonal way. You would say, all it is. I love that. That's a great definition.
But we're skipping over actual examples of...
Please read your notes. You have typed out... How many pages do you have typed out?
No, it's just 2 pages.
It's just 2 pages, okay.
It's just 2 pages.
I want to hear what you have
Well,
on
so
that
there's
page.
5 examples here of Valley speak. So aside from the actual cadence or whatever, some actual phrases include barf me out.
Oh, I read that one.
Which is used to say to react to a particularly offensive comment, remark, or piece of news. Janice is dating Steve. Like, barf me out. A lot of barfing thing. There's gag me with a spoon, which is really fucked. Just like imagine that with a spoon.
How do you gag somebody with a spoon?
I mean, like I can do it by myself, but if like you gag me with a spoon is even more malicious. No duh, which is everyone knows what no duh is. Again, this is seeped into cross. It's a bicoastal dialect. Bicoastal. Psych.
Psych came from Valley Girl speak?
Yeah. So It's like, I really like your dress. Psych.
Well, so it really has overlapped, I heard that in like a hip-hop song the other day. Like the rapper said something and then was like, psych, and like moved on to the rest of the flow. I was like, wow. So what I said earlier about socioeconomic and ish like that, it's all over.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess the origin was those rich white girls from Southern
There's also bitchin'.
That came from...
Yeah, which means awesome or cool. And that was big in the 80s in the punk scene, making fun of Valley Girl speak. There's a song by the Dead Milkmen called Bitchin' Camaro, which in itself is a funny image of someone bragging about their awesome Camaro.
And it's a Camaro, of course, you know, so, yeah.
And righteous, that's the final one that I have, righteous, which is part of the surfer speak. So
that's like one of the points that we didn't touch on that I want to talk about for a second is I had something about that too. There was surfer speak and skateboarding speak too. Is that the other one?
Yeah.
What's the difference? I mean, I didn't look into this. I didn't have time,
Well, so both are very... The skate speak would be more... it's like jock culture kind of a thing. So if you think of any sort of football player or baseball player talking about someone doing a good job in their own way, someone doing skateboard terms or surfing terms, it's like, that was gnarly.
Oh, I see.
I dropped in, and then maybe it's like nonsensical stuff, and I was like, I got sucked out, and, like that kind of speak.
So it's like a combination of technical terms and nonsensical words.
Yeah, emotion-based.
Emotion-based,
yeah.
Similar to Valley Girl speak. I mean, it is very emotion-based. They're gearing up their emotions and, it's like a bundle of emotions, and then they kind of explode into their actual thought.
Right.
It's very emotional.
Yeah. In the Northeast, we don't have any emotions when we talk.
We have zero emotions.
We have zero emotions, and we just move, and we use our bodies to explain ourselves.
We use our bodies to explain ourselves.
I slammed into someone on the subway here.
It's true. We do. We just kind of shoulder what's it called?
Shoulder bump?
Shoulder bump people to conversate with them in this city.
Because we've got places to go. We've got enough distractions. I heard the homeless man rapping Sunday to Monday, Monday to Sunday. Which didn't make any sense to me. He's talking about 7 days and then 2 days. And I have to make it all the way up here to Yonkers, New York.
We're not in Yonkers. Okay, cool. So New York's language is a little bit more movement-based. And California's Valley Girl speak. Cool. So I feel a little bit more knowledgeable on the topic. Do you?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Did you get to say all your notes?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff I didn't say didn't matter.
Is my glass a microphone for you right now? You have one right in front of you.
Oh, that's what that is. Sorry. Yeah. My bad.
It's okay. Go ahead. Take a sip of water. I know you do. While you're sipping, I'm going to thank you. While you're sipping, I'm going to thank you for coming in today, you the bomb. Do I sound different than I did before?
No, you don't. Not at all. Did you know that the bottom of your table is a swastika?
I didn't notice that.
Look at that. I'm not wrong.
It is. And my Jewish mother got this table for me.
That's a fucking swastika.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, thanks for coming in, Doug.
Jesus Christ.
Bye, Doug. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Happy Passover. Are you giving me some Passover music? Please continue with your Hebrew. Please.
Elohai. Mushugana. Mushugana. Mushugana.
Are you saying mushuganum?
Mushugana.
Mushugana.
Arugula.
Arugula.
Chocolate strawberry. Strawberry.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to You Do Know How to Whistle, don't you? All about the ish I don't get. New episodes every Wednesday. And spread the word if you like it. Subscribe, comment, like, share, all that good. And if there's any topics that you're itching to dive into, please leave a comment and it could be featured on the next episode. You can also reach out by heading over to my website, www.alexbeechko.com, ALEXBEECHKO. And please, don't forget, you are very intelligent. Thanks for listening.